back to the Walking with Wanzuu podcast. I'm your host, Yvette Wanzuu. How are you? How have you been? How has life been treating you? It's been treating you good? Tough times? Sending you hugs and love nonetheless. This is a safe space that I have created for us to be able to talk about all things life, and I draw from my own personal life experiences, some of the good, the bad, and some of the very laughable ones. This is me just giving you a tiny little sneak peek of what goes on in my head and in my heart, if you will. Thank you so much for tuning in. Happy listening. Hi guys, how are you? Welcome back to the podcast. How are you? How have you been? Thank you so much for the feedback that we got from the last episode. It was awesome having Olive and Shiro around and just discussing some of the many ways that we have been clowning in this Nairobi. Because where? What was that? First of all, some of the stories that I was recounting, I couldn't even believe it was me. And then it was also after we separated. First of all, can I just say, before I move on to what I wanted to say next, that some of the conversations that we even had with those ladies off the mic was just mind blowing. Honestly, guys, I don't care how put together you are. I don't even care how good you look on a Monday morning when you're going to work and lying to everybody in corporate that you're holding your life together. When you're in love, you do some of the most detrimental shit to the brand. I cannot believe it. I cannot believe it. Anyway, here we stand, standing tall. We live yet another day to tell another story. And I just hope when you know better, you do better. And even if you don't do better, you'll do better next time. Love is an interesting thing. It can bring out sides of you and even aspects of your personality that even you never knew existed. Regardless, we move and we live to tell another story yet another day, because it is truly better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. How are you? How have you been? I have been out and about. It's actually Saturday evening, Saturday night to be exact. It's around 8:30. It's actually 4 minutes to 8:30 to 8:30, or should I say it like a news anchor. I had the most amazing day. I went for a kids festival. I took my daughter to her very first kids festival, had so much fun, and then you guys won't guess what happened. The sun is out, guys. The sun is out. Can we? Yes, yes, yes. Mm. You had it right. The sun is out. August is finally starting to take form and shape. The sun was out with its sister in law, its mother in law. I think I even saw some of its stepkids come to represent. So I couldn't be happier to have just been perambulating Uhuru Gardens out and about in the sun. I won't lie, I'm tired. I was even nursing a slight headache when I came back, but seeing the joy on my daughter's face, knowing that it was all a surprise, I didn't tell her about it. I actually told her when we were just going, just as I had left work and she was dropped off at the office. And so we made our way there. We had so much fun, played so many games. And then the topping, what is it called? The icing on the cake was when there was a surprise performance, like a kind of jazz thing. Honestly, that was the highlight of my day. You know, I discover something new about myself every day. And one of those new things is loving to sit in the grass and just vibe to some nice jazz music. So, the next jazz festival that comes into Nairobi, if you're looking for a plus one, look no further. If Wanzuu is your girl, I will take you there. I will be accommodating. I will sit and look pretty and listen to the music. Also, a nice drink here and there never hurts anybody. It could be a gin and tonic, but we vibe with some juice too, you know, just as long as it's not tea, as we respect what we like to call the Kenya summer. Summer bunny season is approaching quick, fast, and in a hurry. And so I hope you are rearranging your wardrobe. You know, you're putting your clothes where they need to be. Put your winter coats away, guys, and bring out your summer dresses and shorts. And gentlemen, now is a good time for you to show us your arms and your legs. Presuming mtapaka tu miguu mafuta and just look correct, it's a good time. I think this is me rambling for almost 2 minutes about how the sun has been out. By this point, you can clearly establish my love for summer. It goes way, way deeper than you guys can ever imagine. And I just want to say that I'm happy. I'm happy, yo. I'm excited. I'm excited. Today's episode is something that's somewhat more of an introspection from my end. It's something that I have been thinking of a lot. Probably inspired or influenced by some of the content that I have been consuming. Like I said earlier, I think that was the first episode of this season. I have been consuming a lot of self help content. Yes, I have. And that's just based on the fact that generally I just want to be a better person, in terms of my career, in terms of me as an individual, in terms of how I show up in different capacities in my life, as a parent, as an employee, as a friend, as a cousin. All those aspects of my life, I generally just want to do better. And 2023 has kicked my behind. Let me not lie to you guys. It has morphed and shaped me and transformed me in more ways than I could have imagined. Yet here we stand. And so I thank God. It's all through God's grace. So today I want us to talk about letting life flow through you. Um, and I think this can only happen once you unlock a certain thing that I like to call acceptance. And me being the overthinker that I am, acceptance is something that's not very heavy in my vocabulary. It's actually a word that I have never quite pondered about. It's not a word that I like to use a lot. I think if in my entire 30 years on this earth, I haven't used acceptance a lot in my speeches, or in my interactions, or even when I'm talking to myself, because that's something that I do a lot. I have never spoken about the word acceptance. And I want us to be able to define what acceptance is. I am going to consult Auntie Google, or is it Dr. Google? Um, Acceptance is the act of consenting to receive or undertake something offered. Acceptance can also be the process or fact of being received as adequate, valid, and suitable. Um, so acceptance could also be consenting, right? It's the act of consenting to receive or undertake something offered. And I feel like the first definition will fit perfectly for what it is that I want to discuss. Accepting life and life experiences and allowing life to flow through you. I think one of the many causes of pain and heartache, and disappointment really is usually the scenarios and the stories that we have in our heads. I mean, when I talk to you now and I ask you, what is it that you have planned for yourself? What is it that you have planned for your life? Where do you see your relationship in the next 3 months, 3 years? Where do you see your career? Where do you see your family in the next, 5 years? We will all come up with all these ideas and all these plans and all these dreams and all these aspirations that we have. But at the end of the day, sometimes we stay blind to the fact that life happens and life is going to happen whichever way it is that it's meant to happen. It could happen for the benefits and it could propel or even make those plans or dreams and aspirations that you have better, or it could happen to the detriment of your dreams and aspirations, and that's also just life happening. And so many times when we plan and we think and we just try to look at what the future is and we just try to navigate life, we never really want to try and put into consideration when things don't go our way or when things don't go how we anticipated or when life just looks at you and decides to mop the floor with your behinds, right? Um, and this could happen in many ways. I think I have experienced a lot of changes personally, in terms of me as a person, just learning myself. I think there are aspects and certain things about myself that I did not know that I have started to even establish quite recently, and unlock as well. Unleash, what can we say, things that I've just things that I'm just starting to discover about myself. There's certain things that are starting to make more sense now, that are starting to appear more clearly. There are also certain things that I have seen, certain changes, certain behavioral patterns that I have established or seen as far as career is concerned, my work life, as far as relationships are concerned. I have been in and out of relationships this year. And so they're just small, small things about life that I am learning. And a lot of times when things don't go my way, when things don't go how I had planned, when things don't go how I had anticipated, I am really thrown off. And it normally takes a while for me to be able to just get onto the get back into the swing of things, to accept and say, okay, that has happened. How do I move on from this? How do I just accept what is? And I'll give you a good example. A good example could be friendships or even romantic relationships. So you're in this romantic relationship, it comes to an end. There are all these dreams and hopes, all these plans that you had. There are all these, just all these things that you had that you created in your head. And if you're hearing a bit of background noise, guys, like I always said, it's always when you're starting to record that Sasa people stay doing the most. Anyway, nobody can stop reggae, so we continue. um and as I was saying, it's not until something happens and life just smacks, yes, life just smacks the shit out of you, and it just makes you halt and just stop in your tracks and look and think, Allah, I thought things were supposed to go this way. What is going on? What is happening? Um and recent events have prompted me to want to think, um do I sometimes feel the need to really want to control things in my life? It could be my relationships, the trajectory in which they take, how it is that they flow, happenings of things. It could be in my career. It could be at home with family. And one of the things that I'm learning that I really want to share with you is the the art of letting go, the art of release, but also the art of acceptance. So I recently got into it with someone who's very close to me, someone who I care a lot about, and someone who I have known for a while. And we were disagreeing on a number of issues. And for me, I'm a very sometimes in certain scenarios, because I also can be quite dramatic. When it comes to conflict, I'm usually very solution oriented, and my way of seeking out a solution is usually, let's talk, let's iron it out, let's fix it, let's have a conversation, let's see what needs to be said, let's see what needs, like, what is the issue and how do we move about it. Do you need can we articulate what the issue is? For me, I normally feel like I want to articulate what the issue is, try and see where it's coming from. Do you need a moment to go and breathe? Do you want to hold things all together? So for me, how I seek out clarity, or how it is that I navigate conflict, is by seeking out a conversation, right? And there are people who, when they're faced with conflict, they don't want to have a conversation about it. It could be that it takes a while for them to have a conversation about it. It could be that they do process, whether they're the ones who have done the wrongdoing or who have been wronged. They process it in their own way and then try and work out the resolution in their own way. And for such people, when you approach such people with, I want to talk, I want to figure it out, I want to have a conversation now, 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 sometimes it comes off as an attack, right? And when you're constantly seeking out to have a conversation or to find the resolution of conflict, from your own perspective, or from my perspective, I've always looked at it as, I care enough about things to be able to want to find some form of resolve. I care enough about things to be able to want to talk about it. However, I have never paused and stopped to think that that could be a form of control. Now, if you're like me, this is something that's very hard to hear. When I heard it from someone who I was seeking counsel from, it really took me aback. But imagine that's just what it is. So in life, things will happen. You will meet people. You will make friends. Even in a family setup, you have your siblings there, you have your cousins there, you have your dad, your mom, and conflict is bound to happen, because where there are differences of opinion, we all don't see things the same way. So in one way or another, conflict is bound to happen. And one of the ways that we tend to push the people that we love away is by trying to control how to resolve the conflict and not just letting things take its natural form. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a difference between canceling people. You know, when you cancel someone, you're just like, I'm not even going to try and talk about it. I'm not even going to try and resolve it. You're cancelled. Bye. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say sometimes it's good in life to just sit back and let things take the natural flow. And that could be in many aspects of life. And now we're just talking about the conflict aspect. So there has been a disagreement. You have your own thoughts and your own sentiments. The other party has their own thoughts and their own sentiments. So perhaps if you like to find resolution through approaching things with a conversation, perhaps you could try the first time and say, hey, this and this happened. I would really like to have a conversation with you just to see what your mind space is in, also just to give you a bit of insight about how I felt and how I would like to move forward. And then you need to pause and allow the other person to respond. And sometimes when that doesn't happen, then it might be followed by constant probing and constant, it's the constant probing. And that's a form of control. And I had no idea that it was. And I don't know if, because in my head it makes so much sense. I don't know if I'm articulating this in the best way possible to you. And I noticed that a lot of us, I included, we walk around with so much anxiety, and it's like we're always on constant high alert. And with everything that has been going on, guys, because even with this story for WildCoin, what is that even? It's we are really all, most of us are in survival mode. It's so many times that I was taking my daughter to school in the morning, and so it's I drop her off, and then I'm rushing to get to work early or even on time. And sometimes I realize even when I walk down the street, I forget to breathe properly. Like I'm not taking nice, long, deep breaths. I'm just panting through everything. Yeah. And so that in turn, it puts me in this constant state of anxiety. It's like this constant angst. There's not a time when I'm not just free. I'm not just at rest. I'm not just at peace. And that's something that I definitely wanted to change about me. So, and I realized that maybe there are certain things or certain people or certain places that give me that peace. And that's good. But I also know that I want to find that peace within myself. And so, something that I'm learning to do in this season, guys, is just to accept things, to find some form of acceptance, especially when life happens, and to take whatever season I'm in with grace, try and figure out the lessons of the season, try and figure out what that season is teaching me, try and figure out what, and just also just be in the moment and just live. Just live. Not live for the next hour, not live for yesterday, not live for tomorrow, but just live and try and be in the present and try and be in the now. I'm also learning to voice how I feel a bit more. I know I rarely have a problem with voicing how I feel if it's a negative feeling. It's like, talk to me with respect, or don't look at me like that, or don't do this like that. But now in this season, I'm also learning to voice good things, positive things, learning to tell the people around me, appreciate them a bit more, affirm how I feel about them. If it's love I have for them, affirm it a bit more, compliment people and actually mean your compliments, and just be in the moment. um, Life happens. I think the constant is life. We all come and go. We were born. We don't know when we will leave this earth, but life will continue. And so I think one of the ways to just help us to avoid anxiety and just let life flow through us is to learn the act of acceptance. It can be hard, especially when it's a negative experience. I was listening to someone talk about a loved one of theirs who recently just got diagnosed with a terminal illness. And I remember them saying, why me? Why not you? Sometimes things can really happen to you in life and you're just like, when you see you even share the troubles with other people. Why is it just me who's constantly going through it? I mean, maybe that's just the path that you're on right now. And maybe you just need to look around you and find the small things that you can be grateful for instead of focusing on this mountain that's ahead of you. And I know that's easier said than done. But I also feel like God is fair, right? Life happens and it can happen in so many ways. And sometimes you can get so troubled, but God is fair. And He can never quite allow you to lose in every aspect of your life. So, no matter how bleak or how dark or how painful things seem to be, imagine if you look around you, there's always something to be grateful for. And so, as I leave you guys, I'm prompting you to pause right in this moment. Take a deep breath. I don't know what you're doing. You could be walking, you could be sleeping. I know a lot of people like to listen to this podcast when perhaps they're commuting or when they're sleeping or when they're just trying to be in a Zen space. Take a deep breath. Remove your tongue from the roof of your mouth. Unclench your butt cheeks. Yes, you heard me. And just try and live. For those 2 seconds, experience life around you. And if you do nothing for yourself, please find an element of acceptance and allow life to flow through you and within you. And even as you seek small solutions to the challenges that you have, don't be oblivious to the blessings that you have. And as you soak in on those blessings, please soak in them fully and entirely because those are the ones that will take you through the hard times. Imagine tough times never last, but tough people do. And life is just hard. It's just that. It just has its seasons. Some seasons are good, some seasons are bad. Some seasons just make us laugh, some seasons just make us feel really silly. But that's just what life is. Thank you so much for listening in. This is me just prompting you to pause. Please allow life to flow through you and in you and within you. I will see you on the next one. If you're going through a hard time, I'm sending you love and light. If you're going through a good season, just receive some good news. You're elevating, you're getting into an interesting and new season. I'm celebrating with you. Sending you love and hugs and all the good vibes. I will see you on the next one. Bye bye. Thank you so much for tuning in. What's some of the things that we discussed on today's episode that you really resonated with? Perhaps you even have a similar story or something that really tickled you. I would love to get your feedback. You can find me on Instagram at the Walking with Wanzuu podcast. You can also find me on Gmail. You can write me an email, tewanzuu@gmail.com. Better yet, you can leave a note if you're listening on Spotify or any other streaming platform and let me know whatever spoke to you during this particular episode. Life is too hard to go through it alone. Let's just do life together. Amma, until next time, bye-bye.